people are so tall these days, so I had to have seats big enough that a man would be comfortable sitting on it. I'll never be able to move because I don't think I'll ever find another ceiling high enough to put it. These pots, they're very cheap because nobody ever wants them. I have to admit the bay trees are fake because they are the best fake things you can get. So I've got two either side of the bath and another cupboard behind the loo for all my drugs. I'm Jane Churchill, and today Boomin have come to my house and filmed a lot of the rooms, and we've gone through different ideas that I've had. I was very lucky when I came here because this conservatory had already been built on, but I have made it look as though it's part of the drawing room because it gives such a feeling of space, which is fantastic. And this tablecloth, these figures, are actually 18th century Hanoverian. It belonged to my grandmother, and I had them reapplied to this colour. And this desk I used during lockdown with my computer. So of course, if I was talking to somebody I hadn't spoken to before, I had to sort of group the bottles together so they didn't think I was an alcoholic. This room was actually not that easy to do because where I'm very lucky is that it's got a high ceiling, which is wonderful, but it's actually quite narrow. So I couldn't get a normal sofa in here. So I had this one made, which has got virtually no back because people are so tall these days. So I had to have seats big enough that a man would be comfortable sitting on it. And this ikat I actually bought in Istanbul and sort of did the room round these colours because I think they're such a pretty combination. I love the way they're rather faded as well. And then when you go down what is quite a narrow staircase, it then sort of opens up with all those books and the bookcase, which sort of gives it, you know, a bit of a wow factor. As you can see, I've got a lot of design books. That's very good. Lighting, written by John Cullen, who are a fantastic company. And then this one, that's quite an old book by Maria Praz, Interior Decoration, but you always find ideas in them, I find. And then with lighting, I always go for dimmers, as you can see, like this, because when it goes wrong, you've got to get Lutron engineer around to fix it, whereas this, any old electrician can do it. These are pots that I have bought over the years in junk shops, because nobody knows what to do with them. I think they're called grasshopper pots, and I love blue and white. It's amazing how blue and white china can lift anything and goes with any colour. But one of my lockdown finds on Amazon was this, which has absolutely changed my life. And I think they look, I mean, you can see some of them, and does it matter? And actually they flicker more, which is quite pretty. Your own style is what you like, so one can't criticise that if that's the way you want to live. I mean, I don't like masses and masses of clutter, and I think, especially when people are selling houses, and I'm sure on Boomin it's always good to point that out. There's nothing worse than going to a house and a sort of basket of trainers in the hall, you know, if you're going to look round a house, because it just sort of isn't really what you want to see. This is a great thick bit of wall, so what I did was to put mirror down here and over the top, and actually I can just see it needs a bit of a clean, so I'll get onto that. And then into the dining room, which has got material on the wall because of the sound element, because with a wooden floor you always have to think of the acoustics. This picture is of my middle son Dominic, which was actually painted by my nephew Ned Wyndham. And a lot of people said when it was done that he looked very old in that picture, but he said that was because he had a hangover. And then this was painted by Bianca Smith, who is Australian and has a shop in Battersea. She does a lot of rather modern pictures. And I then got her to paint the cupboards in my kitchen because I quite like kitchens not looking like kitchens. And as this is sort of part of the dining room as well, and if I have people for dinner, then they serve themselves here, it sort of seems to flow better. With an eclectic taste, of course, it makes it easier because you don't have to go to one type of shop that sells everything. I found things at Brocant's or Morocco, even in markets in China, or it depends. The plaques I bought from an antique shop in Hungerford. One's of Benjamin Franklin, ones of George Washington, but I like the way when you come down and there's the lighting here, you look through and it sort of gives it a better vista. I have to admit the bay trees are fake, because they are the best fake things you can get. And believe it or not, I've kept these alive. I mean, this one is 3 years old. I can't believe it. I've never grown anything in my life, and it's growing like ivy, my mandarin tree. So now we can go upstairs to my bedroom. In here, I've covered the walls and made the curtains in the same fabric because I rather like the continuity of it, going all the way around. I think in a way it makes the room look bigger too. And also I'm lucky enough to have these two huge windows, so I think something to break it up would not have looked as good. So these 4 pictures were also done by Bianca Smith, because I love the way they're just the odd line. She's so clever like that. It's got great movement, because you don't really want anything too busy on this material because it's very soft and peaceful and calm. Here I've made a jib door, which basically is what it means is a door that doesn't look like a door. And so this goes through to the bathroom, which is not a bad size actually, because I've also managed to get in a very big shower, and if I can find somewhere for a cupboard, I put them in. So I've got 2 either side of the bath and another cupboard behind the loo for all my drugs. This chair is covered in a French hemp fabric that I found in a brocante in France with the initials JC, so clearly made for me. So I bought it and it fitted perfectly on the chair. And then Bianca Smith, she did these 4 pictures. I had these actually in another house, these pictures, and then I got her to do the ones over there. And if you buy 4 pictures, don't put one there, one there, one there, and there. Hang them all together because it just looks so much better. I think picture hanging, unless you're used to it, is probably the most difficult thing, apart from room layouts, etc., that you can do. But as I've moved like a lemming in my life, I've got very used to it, so I can go to my sleep now. This chandelier I just couldn't resist, and I actually bought it from Bianca's brother called Tyson, who sells wonderful lamps and lanterns. I'll never be able to move because I don't think I'll ever find another ceiling high enough to put it, but I love the colour of it, the way it's sort of old looking, and it's just so pretty and light, and with the acorns and everything, it's just beautiful. I've been very lucky to have Boomin into my house today because I think it's such a fantastic new website, and I think that's going to be extremely successful and very, very helpful for people.